I feel like someone could be proud of like their Matt Bellamy impression. He's kind of like he has like sort of that thing about him that you can sort of do.
Yeah.
Hit really high, make a lot of faces. That kind of thing.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Alrighty, folks, we are here at 2016 Panorama Music Festival down in New York City. I'm DJ AV, and if you look to my right, we got Foals here with me.
Hello. Hello.
Hi. Yeah, this is Jack and Walter, the two of the favourites from Foals.
The best ones.
Jack and Walter from Foals, thank you so much for being here, and I think it would be a shame if I didn't say, this is pretty badass back here backstage. You guys have the setup.
Yeah, no, it's nice. We're not used to this as well, so we're getting, although it is, the heat is killing us a little bit, but the surroundings are beautiful.
We
it's great.
started putting it on our rider, like, 90 degree heat, and at least 2 rivers within walking distance from the shows.
And lucky enough, I think with Panorama, you end up with that. I don't know, I feel like if you want to go, well, you have a ferry behind us too, so that's pretty exciting stuff. Well, I have to ask, so this is the first ever Panorama Festival, and you guys are performing on the first one ever. So how's that feel? It's like an honor for you guys?
Yeah, it's cool. We've been looking forward to this, actually. We've done a bunch of festivals back home and in Europe so far. It's weird. It kind of kicks off with Glastonbury, which is really early in the year. So this is quite nice for us to get out of Europe for a bit and come over here. And we had a show yesterday in Toronto, which was great. It was similarly like really nice and hot. So yeah, we've got some good spots coming up. This one today.
Because it's put on by the guys that run Coachella as well, so we're kind of that's got such an amazing history and it's such a good festival that, like, when we found out they were doing something in New York, we were just really excited to play that. So I think and Kendrick Lamar headlining tonight's going to be amazing. That's something I'm really excited to see, because we've not seen him like do his whole big show this year, so I'm very excited about that.
He has a really big setup too, so that's super cool. Yeah, no, well, I was going to ask, like, so when you guys do festivals, what's some really cool is you're surrounded by all these other big bands. You guys get a chance to, like, actually, fall to the side for a little while and be able to watch some of these acts, or is it more of just like sort of just hop on stage and you're kind of jostled for the day? Yeah,
no, we definitely get to see stuff, and that's kind of the best bit, is like just getting there in the day and then checking out the lineup and whatever and seeing what's up. We've been really lucky already this summer to see some great things. We saw Neil Young a couple of weeks ago, which was great, and well, more recently we saw LCD last night, but only a bit because we had to leave to get here, but that was amazing. Hadn't seen them since Coachella, and that was pretty special. They're really on it at the moment. It's great. So we do get to see stuff, which is really, really good. It's
kind of nice as well, because you end up being on the same circuit as so many other bands. It becomes like a traveling circus. So you're like, oh cool, those boys are in town today, and then you end up making a lot of friends, and it's kind of nice because you don't know when you're going to see them next, and then you'll just you just sort of accidentally end up in the same dressing room area and like, all right, cool, we're gonna have a party tonight then.
Yeah, like old classmates or something. That's fantastic. Well, I was gonna actually ask, so like, do you ever, because you have like this cool backstage area and whatnot, and there are so many bands just going around, have you ever like had any weird encounters or been like starstruck by some of the people that you've met here, or just random festivals?
Many moons ago, we had a pretty serious encounter. We got in a bit of a fight with the Sex Pistols boys. That was quite a long time ago.
Sex Pistols.
Yeah, well, it was Johnny Rotten and a few others, and there was lots of bands involved. But yeah, we still kind of
a bit of a brawl.
Yeah. So sometimes it can be a bit messy, but no, I don't know. There hasn't been.
I picked up Danny DeVito, and I don't know, like, I was a bit drunk, I think, at this point, and he's honestly like the smallest person you've ever seen, and I just kind of got a bit overexcited and picked him up, and then he was like, put me down! But yeah, that was pretty cool. I managed to get a photo with him, so it's pretty chuffed. And you met David Hasselhoff as well, didn't you?
Yeah, the Hoff was apparently always there at Coachella, yeah.
He's a staple. He just has his own stage. See, you guys just touched upon 3 very disparate areas: the Sex Pistols, David Hasselhoff, and Danny DeVito. You guys are selling the festival circuit very well right now. I don't know why anyone would not ever want to do a festival now.
Exactly. Everyone should start a band just so they can meet Danny DeVito. David
Pick him
Hasselhoff.
up. Yeah.
And be able to pick him up too. Well, so I have to ask you, because you mentioned Glastonbury, and obviously you guys have been doing the circuit, of course, like you guys have done like Isle of Wight, you guys have been sort of all over the place when it comes to festivals. How does it stack up against the European festival? Because it seems to be that the US came a little later to the whole festival thing, where like the UK had been doing it for years. Glastonbury is obviously an institution, it's huge. What is the difference you notice?
I think it's Yeah, I think it's because festivals in Europe, like Glastonbury's been going on for so many years, that it's really ironed out all of the kinks, and it's a very, I don't know, I think there's definitely like plus points and negative points to both. Like American festivals have a lot of energy, and there's, I think, I don't know, sometimes at some festivals it's quite good where like the American does like the sort of glam festival thing quite well, where like if you don't want to get like sleep in a tent and be covered in mud for like 5 days, then there's a lot of options to do that. And in a lot of European festivals, like you do end up like sort of lying under a bath of mud for like 3 days.
I mean, Glastonbury was pretty much a mud bath this year.
Yeah,
it still seems to me as well, I might be wrong on this, that the American festivals perhaps like it's a bit more of a younger crowd, whereas I think a lot of those more established European ones you do get kind of like older generations who are there, which is great, and maybe that'll start happening, but then I don't know, because there's so many we haven't been to. I think I remember the closest one to us which seemed to resemble something in Europe which had more history than it actually does is something like Bonnaroo, which was great. We really enjoyed that. And then we've got Outside Lands in San Francisco coming up soon as well, in the next couple of weeks or whatever, and that I remember having a good time there. But I think like as they continue, I just hope they survive, because something happened back home and in Europe where there was like a glut of festivals for a while, and a lot of them kind of went under that had really good ideas and really good means, but there's only so many that people are going to pick to go to, so I suppose that's the key, is the ones that are decent will survive and keep people coming back.
Absolutely. And of course, you guys don't just do festivals, you guys are headlining your own tour coming through the fall. You guys are going to be up in Boston at the House of Blues in a couple months too, and you guys have been touring pretty much all year. You guys were at the 2016 WBRU Dunkin' Donuts April Fool's Bash, Cage the Elephant. So there were some pickups. We sat down with them yesterday. They were a really fun time. I got to be able to talk to them a little bit about. They made fun of me the last time I was on air with them.
Did you get them back?
Well, you know what? Okay, some context here. They were making fun of me on air, asking if I was a big spoon or little spoon. So yesterday, I got to retaliate by asking them. So it worked out pretty well. We're a little even now, but yeah, no. So you guys are through the fall on tour. Is there anything that we should be expecting? Any surprises? I guess we can't really tell us if they're surprises, but what should we be expecting?
Well, one of the things is the lineup itself is really exciting for us, because we get to take Bare Hands and Kiev with us. So there's a little pop for them both there. Like we've toured with them before, and Kiev particularly kind of came along as a bit of a surprise to us, and they're incredible players and really, really nice people and good to have along. So I'm really glad that worked out. And Bare Hands is lovely for us because we kind of we have same management as them, but hadn't really been together much. Like we'd always missed them when the few times they'd come over to the UK, we hadn't been around. So we got to know them. So they're like new pals now. And I just think it makes a huge difference, doing that kind of thing, especially when you're away from home, to have that familiarity. And to tour with a group of bands, it feels like a bit more like the old days when there used to be like, it was about everybody playing that night. And so I think particularly the tour will be come early and see everybody, because that's the idea.
That's fantastic. Well, glad to hear that you guys will also be with Bare Hands too, because we of course had them for the April Fool's Bash this past year. That was a killer show. So I know a lot of people are looking forward to the full show coming up this fall. But just sort of an aside, because I've been a fan for a few years, so I'm really curious about some of the new record, what went down. Fantastic stuff, I will say. But yeah, so there's a lot of moments in this album I've noticed that, like, comparing it to like the earlier stuff, Antidotes. This album is big. Like this album, I mean, you guys have always been big, but this is like really large. Like it's a very epic sounding record. And something I've been really interested in when I was like listening through the album, two things came up. Like there's these two different moments I've noticed in the album where like those sort of goosebump moments, and I'm sure as musicians you guys like be able to identify with like any music, but two in particular, there's this one moment at the end of What Went Down where it picks up at the end, and then a knife in the ocean, right, the album closer, is like this sprawling thing, and near the end it sort of gets to that moment. When you guys are doing that in the studio, do you guys know that you guys just like sort of captured that feeling, or is it more of a, you have to listen back and be like, oh wow, like that's what that was?
I know some tracks come together really quick, and it feels like something special's happened. And What Went Down and A Knife in the Ocean were tracks like that, where they didn't take, it wasn't long labouring, difficult, hard work making them. They just kind of fell into place nicely, and that's happened quite a few times over the years on different records. Then other songs, like, you have to work at a lot more, and you lose sight of whether you're excited by them because you've spent so much time working on them. But definitely, like, when we recorded What Went Down and A Knife in the Ocean, we had like that kind of excitement from them.
That's fantastic. How long did it take to put the record together?
I guess we wrote it. It took about 2 or 3 months to write, and then we recorded it for 2 months. So
yeah, with a bit of pre-production back home, and I think that we never like let it drag out too much. We were asked earlier about that kind of thing. It's like once you get going on a record, you kind of need to like keep going with it, otherwise you'll lose the momentum. So we tend to not work on it. I think also if we took big breaks, we'd start to correct things, and then you lose those moments you're talking about. So yeah, it was quite quick, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, that's really fantastic that those moments just sort of fall into place, I can imagine. But I guess something sort of last question that I'm really interested in is, as musicians, what are you guys listening to right now? What are your go-to on your like iPod?
There's there's this amazing record label in the UK called Emotional Response, and they do a side label called Emotional Rescue, which they release old, like, sort of Balearic sounding records from like the 70s onwards. And there's a guy called Javier Bergier, who they put out like a compilation of like his work from like 1980 to 2011. And that's really amazing stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I find myself listening to less and less bands. I listen to like a lot of ambient music and a lot of kind of like synth music and kind of new agey stuff. And yeah, but you still listen to a lot of bands, don't you?
No, I'm quite bad actually. I don't listen to a lot of like new stuff at all. In fact, I kind of rely on the rest of the boys to be like, whatever's they've put in the Dropbox. I'm like, that's, it's awesome.
Of course.
Let them pick stuff for me.
Well, you guys are pretty busy, so it does make sense. But thank you so much for being here with me today. Foals, they're going to be coming our way. The House of Blues coming up in just a few months. They're taking the stage this afternoon at Panorama, and make sure you grab their new record, What Went Down. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
Thank you so much.